Welcome everybody. Today we start a new topic, and this topic is about storage and handling equipment in a warehouse. There was supposed to be a group exercise, but due to COVID we jump right in to the pallet storage chapter in this lecture. So the most important storage mode in a warehouse are pallets. Almost all warehouses deal in some way with pallets. Pallets are very flexible and most equipment is designed to deal with pallets. So pallets are used all around the world. We start with some terminology that you should know when you talk about pallets and storing pallets. That is important that you can communicate your ideas clearly, and this is also important when you are responsible to designing the layout of a warehouse. You need to take into account some specifics of pallets, at least in some cases. So the most easiest way of storing pallets is just putting them on the ground. You just need a ground floor, an even ground floor, and you can put the pallets down on the ground. This is the most easiest way. Usually these pallets are arranged in lanes, though meaning one pallet after another. I'm not talking about on top of each other, but behind each other. This is a lane, and the depth of a lane is the number of pallets that are stored back to back. I'm not talking about on top of each other, I'm talking about pallets that are stored back to back, and they are stored away from the pick aisle. Though if the forklift picks the first pallet, only then the second pallet becomes accessible. The forklift cannot pick the second pallet before it picked the first one. The height of a lane, on contrast, is now storing the pallets on top of each other. The height, of course, is restricted by the height of the warehouse, but more often by the nature of the goods that are stored on the pallets, because or due to stability reasons. So one important thing that is very important for designing the layout of a warehouse. When you store pallets in a lane, all the pallets in the same lane store the same SKU. Why is that the case? That pallets in the same lane have the same stock keeping unit. Well, this is a major way in order to make the operations in the warehouse easier and to avoid double handling. So if we have one lane for Apple iPhones, for example, and the next lane stores Samsung smartphones, and we want to get an Apple phone, then it is always clear that the forklift just has to pick the first pallet in the lane to get access to the product. If we would store different SKUs in a single lane, then it might happen that we have to remove one or two pallets from that lane in order to access the product that is stored in the back, and then we have to do a double handling with the pallet in the front. This usually creates a lot of issues and wastes just our time. When we are talking about warehouses and also storage of pallets in a warehouse, we also need to talk about the aisle or the pick aisle. This is the area between lanes where the picker can move around, and that is used to maneuver the trucks or the equipment to get the SKUs, to get the pallets out of the storage lane. So what types of pallets are there? Mainly the material is typically wood, but there are also some plastic materials, very durable plastic materials out there. And then maybe more importantly is that we have two-way and four-way pallets. Though the pallet in the middle of the picture is a two-way pallet. The forklift can only enter from this side that I'm highlighting with my mouse cursor. From this side or from the other side. So there are two ways that a forklift can pick up the pallet and lift it. In contrast, the four-way pallet can be accessed from all four sides of the pallet. And usually a four-way pallet is more expensive. It's a little bit more complicated to build and it needs to be built with more stable materials. But it has many advantages in terms of flexibility because we can just exit it from all the four sides. So we do not need to, it offers us more storage options. So therefore four-way pallet is usually more expensive, but also more flexible. Okay, what is the size of a pallet? In particular, are all the pallets square? Of course, you are aware how a pallet looks like, but you will not probably know the exact sizes of these pallets. So here are 6 major common standardized sizes, though the point of this table is not that you start to memorize the exact sizes of the pallets in the different areas, but the point is that you are aware that different pallet sizes are typically used in different regions of the world. So when you have a global supply chain that is dealing with several regions in the world, make sure that your warehouse and that your equipment can handle these different pallet sizes. And what you should also be aware of is that the sizes of the pallets have, of course, some implications on the storage space that you need. So when you design a warehouse, you need to take into account the pallet sizes that you want to store in the future. The number of lanes that you can put in a warehouse, of course, depends on the pallet sizes. And if you want to use the pallets in a truck, some sizes are more beneficial to use the space of a truck than other sizes. The same is true when you want to put the pallets into a standard container or in a standard container that is transported via ship or a train. So depending on these things, you might consider which type of pallet you optimize your warehouse to. So keep this in mind. And with respect to the pallet terminology, there is a nice website of a pallet producing company. You cannot see it in the video right now, sorry for that. But check out this website and just have a short look on the terminology of a pallet. So again, there's no need to memorize the exact measures, but you should need to be aware that there are differences in the pallet sizes. So how do you move the pallets? What are the main equipment? I'm sure you know the equipment, but maybe you just do not know the correct vocabulary yet in English. So this one is a forklift, and here we have a pallet jack. You know the pallet jacks from the grocery stores. Often you can see them around. And there are some other equipments. For these other equipments, I would like you to look them up in the textbook of Bartholdi and Hackman that we are using. And you can also do a Google picture search, check out Wikipedia or YouTube in order to get an idea of these 4 types of equipment and what they are about.